Okay. Hi, Imogene. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Well, it's a
How are you
pleasure to
today?
have you. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. So, I'm looking at your bio. You've got two children's books. I love the titles Sleeping Beauty and the Cursed Code, and Charles McCheese and the Childhood News Network. Now, those are great
Yeah,
titles. Before we
thank you. I like to have fun with my work for sure.
Before we get to your books, which we will talk about, I did notice that you have an academy. I am an author academy.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know. I talk like the whole world knows what it's like to hang out with the Twitter writing community. Um, but perhaps that is not actually everybody. And so I started to realize like some of the most talented people I've ever met in my life are just hanging out here. And so I connected with them and we all worked together to form the I'm an Author Academy to teach the really like unexpected skills, I guess, that are necessary to succeed as an author today, which is like nothing like what any of us expected. And everyone that's involved in the academy, I would say, has some very serious outlier success.
Is this an online school?
So it is an online school. Every author that's involved in it is from like around the world. And so we are working with high school age children mainly, but also there's individual coaching so that we can just get people accomplishing their dreams sooner, finding their voice sooner. Because as you know, probably as someone who's chased down their dreams, you have to face so much rejection, and that rejection is traumatic. And now there's like a group of us with the I'm an Author Academy that are like, hey, what if we could spare the next generation all the trauma of that rejection and actually get them heard an awful lot sooner?
Well, I think that's a great idea.
Well,
The,
thank you.
the rejection is definitely part of the business model, particularly for artists. And I put authors in the artist category because they're writers and they're creative people. But I think it's the dealing with the rejection that is
Yeah.
probably something that you're working with and trying to help people get through so they don't jump off a bridge if somebody says, no, we don't want your book. Well, I think that's great. So explain to me the setup a little bit. So do you do like a Zoom call with people? Is it a conference with a lot of different people all together, or is it one on one? How does this work?
So it's set up for cohorts. So bringing in groups from schools together, um, and then also set up for like an open cohort. But the biggest point is it's trying to recreate for the younger students what they would find in maybe like a collegiate creative writing class where they're going to get that collaboration. They're going to be working together and they're going to be creating in that kind of a format that stimulates in a much better way than an individual. And so there is individual coaching, but that would be if you were already past that point. We're starting right now with the groups to just get them up to a level where publication is something that they could look for in the future. But if you're already at the level of publication, then it makes no sense to put you in those cohorts. And then we'll pull you aside and put you in an individual coaching.
Okay, well, are you teaching actually the mechanics of writing like one would get in a traditional creative writing course at university, or are you teaching more of the ways to navigate, self-publishing, traditional publishing, hybrid publishing? Are you which way? What are you exactly teaching, or both?
So
Yeah.
we are, yes, it's very much both because we're only like we're kind of selective on the students we're bringing in. So if you are at the point where you really can't write, you're really writing at your grade level, you're stretching yourself for those 5 paragraph essays, this is not for you. This is a niche for the kids that basically resemble who we were at that age, where it's like you're sitting there, you already have these stories in your mind. You know, like that's why it's actually called the I'm an Author Academy, because all of us had the same experience where it was just like we were basically kids and we knew like this is who we are, this is what we were born to do. And there is a group of kids out there that are in that exact same position. And so we're bringing them in at that level and then helping them cultivate from there. So if you're looking for like your basic learn how to write, this is totally the wrong choice.
Okay, so this is a little bit more for advanced, for people that are already writing, maybe not necessarily established writers, but they're already creating, they're already doing.
Yes, to risk sounding slightly biblical, I guess it's like people that have heard that vocational call.
Okay, so does somebody actually have to audition to get onto your courses? Like they'll send you some of their work and you approve it or not?
Absolutely. And so it's more like they have to know that this is what they want. If it's not something just like, hey, I'm looking for extra credit to put on my college essay or whatever. Like this is someone that's like, I want to take this seriously. I want to build a platform. I want to get my voice into the world.
Okay, is this an accredited class, an accredited course?
So no, right now, like we are operating, I would say the crew that is behind the I'm an Author Academy is people that have all been very successful outside of the establishment. You know, each of us individually was able to recognize the problems with traditional publishing, able to work around them, able to get our work out there, able to build followings, and able to sell like a lot more books than most people are selling in the traditional path.
Give me a quick, I don't know, comparison. Which do you like better? Do you like the self-publishing, Kindle, Amazon, or traditional publishing, or what is your opinion on those?
So for me personally, I am a huge tech nerd. I love data. I love digital marketing. And so like, you know, I've established myself as an influencer and I control everything. I control my own ads. I control like where my work is seen, who sees it. And like, I am so free to operate however I want in the world. Um, and a traditionally published author doesn't have that freedom, doesn't have that kind of control, but is also expected to be able to do everything that I had to figure out on my own. So now I do occasionally like hear from literary agents that I read like Stephen King's book where it was like, they're going to come to you when you no longer need them. And that is exactly what happened in my case. And so I guess my message is just that. It's the one I learned from Stephen King. They're not coming until you don't need them anymore. And so then it's not really a choice. Like it's like, get your work out there or maybe bang your head against the wall for the rest of your life.
I think that's a great statement about they won't come for you until you don't need them, and then they'll come. That seems to hold true with everyone. You know, when you're struggling, there's nobody to be found. But once
Of
you've
course.
obtained a certain level of success, the phone never stops ringing. Well, I think that's a good description of what you're doing. So, do you want to tell people the costs if they were interested in signing up?
So right now the costs are super low because we're still in the early stages. So it's honestly like we're developing a lot of scholarships to just start to bring in schools and those relationships. So if you go to www.imanauthor.com, which is like also so cool that I own a website that's just I'm an author, and you can just send us a message. And like right now, the starting cost is $1,000. And if it's not possible for you, we want to work with you. Like if you hear that call, it's a lot more important for us to help you learn and develop and be the voice of your generation rather than try to figure out cost. You know, we're all out there, we're selling our books. We have a lot of other revenue streams open. So this is almost like a passion project to find those people before they get stuck in an industry that's broken.
Well, I think that's a good message. And $1,000 is not an unearthly amount of money for people. Because if you had said something like, well, it's $10,000 or 15, I'd be like, ooh, but you know, 1,000 is doable, I think, for most
Sure.
people.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if your parents are like a huge celebrity or something, like then we can adjust up. But other than that,
Okay. Well, we've got just a few minutes left, and I did want to hit on your books. So you've got currently the two books out. Are you exclusively a children's book author, or do you write other things as well?
Right now, I love the children's author space. I'm a mom, and so a lot of my books are stories I used to tell my own children. And so I'm just finding in like the influencer space everywhere that safe, friendly for kids content, that's like a wide open space. And so I'm super happy there right now. And I think if I started to move into like more adult writing, that it would complicate that a lot. Like Roald Dahl. I don't know if you're familiar, but he wrote all those fantastic children's books. And then I read his short stories, and they were for adults, and they were so dark, and it almost ruined him for me. So I'm very wary about crossing genres, I guess, there.
Okay, so you're sticking with the children's books. As we mentioned at the beginning of this show, is Sleeping Beauty and the Cursed Code, and Charles McCheese and the Childhood News Network.
And I do have them right here, so
Okay.
people can see.
Yeah, let's see them. Tell me about Charles McCheese. So this is like a sort of a news show for kids. Nickelodeon used to have something like that years ago.
I mean, I loved Anchorman. I thought it was hilarious, and it was totally inappropriate for children. But like the narrative was still kind of in my head of that like funny scenario. And I used to watch my son and all his friends like be absurd preschoolers. And I just imagined them growing up into those roles, like in like fifth grade. And I put them in that Anchorman kind of format and just had a ton of fun sending them on these like crazy missions around the world. And it was almost like I put a lot of journalistic values in there because I mean the message here is the adult news is the worst. And it's not just the message in the book. I kind of stand behind it. And so kind of getting back to those values. But outside of that, it's just very much feel good, have fun, love to read. And that's the message that the kids that read it are giving back to me. That's their experience.
Oh, that's great. And can you give us like a 1-minute synopsis on the Sleeping Beauty book?
Sleeping Beauty and the Cursed Code, that's my STEMinist revolution. So it takes all your classic princesses that girls relate to as role models, and it transforms them into just like science and technology powered superheroes. Just bringing the next generation to start to envision themselves in those more lucrative and like world changing fields.
Well, Emma Jean, we do have to wind this down. We are out of time. Do you want to use the website for your academy? Is that the one you want us to put up on the screen right underneath you now as we speak?
Sure, you can use that one, or I guess my website that has my books and links to the academy is www.4pigs2fly.com. And so it's like 4 and then 2, like the numbers.
The number 4 and the number 2, 4 pigs to fly. Oh, we'll use that one. Yeah, that one's funny. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
All right, great. Well, thanks so much for coming on this show. It was nice meeting you and nice talking to you. And best of luck with your academy. I hope that does well. I think